human evolution and singularity. Really, singularity. What are your thoughts on singularity? Because you've spoken about, humanity reaching a new level of consciousness. And do you see singularity as like a technological milestone, or could it also improve like spiritual evolution facilitated by psychedelics? You know?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Uh, so, I mean, I have a bunch of thoughts about that. I mean, I'm not that thrilled with this sort of linear, one-dimensional technological singularity idea that the destiny of humans is to kind of merge with machines, or that actually we're just like a transition to artificial superintelligence or whatever. Um, and part of the reason I'm not thrilled by that is through my experiences with different indigenous cultures like the Kogi and the Shipibo and the Sequoia, in that what I seem to understand from those experiences, from talking to other people who've worked with them, or those guys themselves, is I just think there's a lot of there's like a multidimensional cosmos that we can access through nature, that includes exploring many levels of dimensions of consciousness, or through the body. I recently watched this. I also recommend this incredible new documentary on something called Tukdam. It's Tukdam Between Worlds. So essentially,
Okay.
these Tibetan monks who've meditated their whole lives, when they're going to die, they know they're going to die. They ask to be kind of sequestered, or they're back at home. And when they die, they maintain their posture. They stay in an upright lotus position, and their bodies don't decay, even though they're no longer breathing and their heart isn't beating, for days, weeks. I think the longest one was like 36 days. And in the documentary, they have these sort of scientists come and like measure their skin, and measure the where they're at. And according to the Tibetans, these guys are still staying in this very subtle level of like enlightened consciousness, and they're not really supposed to disturb them too much, because while they're in that state, they're actually choosing like their next incarnation. They're kind of like just consciously in sort of between worlds, I guess. So I think we don't know enough about what our human consciousness is capable of, and just to give that up and say, okay, now we're going to merge with machines. It's I don't trust it, and I feel the sort of binary, on off consciousness of the machine realm and the engineering realm. It's very flat, and yeah, like actually the sort of analog realm of crystals and plants and and people. There's a lot of more depth there. So I'm a little bit afraid that we're actually rushing to kind of like forfeit what could be a much more exciting discovery. That like if the frontier of human fascination moved from just like technological and material progress to kind of really understanding what we're capable of as we explore the sort of depth dimensions of the psyche, that would be a much more exciting vision of a future for humanity, and would get us out of this cul-de-sac that we're sort of in now, where people were living in this kind of flat world. You have, on the one hand, you have skeptics and materialists, engineers who believe that the singularity, the transhumanism is the way to go. They want to get us to Mars, but it really doesn't, in a way, have much of a why to it. And then on the other hand, you have Christian and Islam. You have religious people who have just accepted these dogma of these ancient religious texts and base their whole lives around how they choose to interpret something that was written, 2,000, 1,500 years ago. So I think there's another option, and that's what I'm trying to think about for my next book, which is like, quantum physics is showing us that consciousness is much more embedded in the physical reality than we ever thought. And that actually consciousness might be the foundation of what we experience as reality, and that this gives us something, like a new way of going forward that could be much more healing and much more profound. And so yeah, I mean, I like there's a guy, Tom Roberts, who wrote a book called The Psychedelic Future of the Mind. He's
Yeah.
like an older academic guy, but his idea is that instead of technological singularity, we could think about a neuro singularity where we use like everything that we're, and it's not a question of like being a Luddite and destroying all the technologies, but like we're learning so much about, the kind of brain waves, alpha, theta, how memory works, how to show, dreams, experiments like the Imperial College experiments with extended state DMT. Like, what if we put all of our energies into, or a lot of our energies into, really going deeper into this realm of the psychocosmos? It's much less destructive. So at the moment, our focus on material accumulation and consumerism is really destroying the planet at a very fast rate. So it would be a less destructive, more interesting approach to reality.